starting a project today. I shouldn't say I'm starting it. I'm continuing a project that was started a while ago. We are planning on bringing more animals to the homestead in just a couple weeks. And there will be meat. We have the meats. We will have the meats.
This is the year of meat.
This is the year of meat. Do you want to be in this, or do you just want to shout from the sideline?
Yes.
Let's test that. Let's see if I got to put a... Hey, look at that. Don't even need any Teflon tape. Pretty good. Okay, that's good. So we have some new animals coming to the homestead. They're going to be up in the field, and I'm working on my watering system. And the first part of the watering system is going to be the project I started back in the spring. IBC totes to create water tanks up in the field to water our animals. So I got to work on that. See if I can get that up and running, because the infrastructure needs to be ready before the animals get here. This is a 275-gallon IBC tote, and what I'm using this one and additional one for is to get water for my animals up into my fields. You see, I have been working on getting more and more animals out onto pasture. My cows are out on somewhat of a movable pasture, but they still have this pathway. They have to get back to the barn for water and such. And I would really like to get up in that field. I'd like to be able to rotationally graze the whole field. Don't have any ponds up there. Something I'd like to change in the future. Maybe put a pond at the base of the hill where the second field turns into the first field. But that's a much larger and more expensive project. That will be a lot more time and effort, and I'd like to observe the property more before I go throwing in a water feature that wasn't already there. So until that happens, I have this smaller herd of ruminants that I could give water from this 275-gallon IBC tote. These splitters are good because as we come now into springtime, we're not worried about water freezing anymore. We're gonna have all kinds of different hoses going all kinds of different directions. We're gonna have water lines for on-demand waterers and chicken waterers and just all kinds of stuff. So these splitters make it really easy to have lots of different water going lots of different directions. And like I said, you want your infrastructure, you want it all set up and ready. You don't want to be hauling buckets. Nothing worse than hauling buckets. That principle of having the infrastructure in place first, we talk about that in our Start Homesteading Today course, which is now free at our website. If you click there, you can go take our 5-hour video course. It's got all kinds of topics we cover: your first livestock, your first garden, your first buying your first property for homesteading, and even how to get started today if you don't have property in a homestead yet. That course is free. Just click there. I'll ask you to take like a 5-minute survey just so I know what you want to learn from the course, and I can make the next courses even better. And then after that, you get free access to all those videos. You can enjoy that, and you get them on demand, so you enjoy it at your own pace. Okay, let's see if this works. We're going to run this hose out to an IBC tote and start filling it. That'll take a long time, and I'm not going to fill it the whole way because that would be really heavy. And I don't know if my tractor can get that up into the field. So we're gonna be doing some testing of some stuff today. That'll work for now. It's not the prettiest hose I've ever worked on, but I started spray painting these IBC totes green because this color, if it's thick, it will block sunlight from coming through and causing algae to grow inside of the tanks. But I'm a little bit worried because I can already see my test paint coat is already starting to, just from the elements, come off. So if you have any advice, have you ever painted an IBC tote for this purpose, for keeping algae at bay? The green is not working great. Not sure what will work better, but let me know in the comments section if you have some suggestions. I've seen guys cover them with tarps. I don't like the look of the tarps because they're messy. I want just nice, clean, painted totes. But of course, you know, if that's the only way to make it work, then, you know, tarps it is. I want to fill this thing about halfway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the little bit of chores I have to do around the barn here, get the tractor out. By the time, it'll take a long time to fill, so by the time I get everything else done, it should be about halfway full. Then we'll test it out with the tractor, see if I can even lift it. Got it? We have the perfect little waterer to set up for these animals, but I can't. Hey! Kay just found it. Where was it?
It was in the milk room. You know, moved stuff there when we were bringing in straw and stuff.
Hey.
So there's other waterers in there too.
This is the Cane Manufacturing automatic waterer, and it's designed kind of for really small ruminants. It fills up this pan. There's an automatic float valve there that shuts the water off. And there's a hose connection. So you hook this up to a hose, which goes to your IBC tote in this case. And the nice thing about that is if they were ever to flip this over, the IBC tote would drain, but it wouldn't like drain our well. So this is gonna be the perfect thing to use for setting up in the field for these oncoming animals and hooking up to our IBC tote. I also, to get it to hook up to an IBC tote, had to get a special little adapter for the IBC totes to turn it into a hose connection. So we're gonna hook up everything now, and then we're gonna drive it up in the field and test it out. Check out what arrived today. In all my morning time, finding the pieces I needed, getting things set up, all the other stuff, I filled up half an IBC tote. Those are 300-gallon totes. I don't want to pull too much from my well all at once. It's better to pull a little bit of water often throughout a day than it is to pull all that water at once on your well. So I'm not going to fill it more than halfway. I'll get into a routine now where I come out and do the morning chores and I turn on the water. Because I have multiples here, I can be filling the next one throughout the week while the one up at the top is being depleted by the animals. On a more exciting note than IBC totes, I got something in the mail today. Take off my gloves for this, I don't want to get it messy. I got my Goldshaw Farms Release the Quackin' t-shirt. I interviewed Morgan back at the a couple of weeks ago, and I was a big fan of Morgan. I watched a bunch of his videos, and I like the way he runs his business. I like the way he runs his farm, and I loved Release the Quackin'. I had to get it. So tell Morgan, if you watch his channel, that Homesteady is officially in the fan club. Boom. That is a nice t-shirt. Release the Quackin'! I don't want to get it too dirty. I'll probably take it off because this is a nice t-shirt, but I'll leave it on for a few minutes. Of course I knew my tractor would be able to lift the IBC tote up. I wasn't really concerned about that. It was more, is it going to be able to lift all that weight going up a hill? And the key is you need all four wheels on the ground. If the front is forward and your back wheels come up, that can be dangerous. So I had to make sure that it looks good. I think it looks pretty good. We're going to try it with the half tank going up the hill. And if it does well with that, then good. I may wind up switching to a situation where we leave the totes at the top of the hill and we fill them with a pump that pumps up to the top of the hill, and that way I don't have to drive them quite as far. But for today, we're just going to test this out and see if it works.
So show.
This guy here is a little adapter to take an IBC tote from one side and shrink it down to a hose fitting on the other. And you'll need that if you're going to mimic this system. Okay, put this adapter on. All right, to close it down nice and tight. Good, that works great.
There are lots of.
I didn't have breakfast today. I'm not gonna chew with my mouth full or open. Talk with your mouth full. I can hear my parents saying right now. I didn't have breakfast today, so we'd like to keep these Lara bars in the house. These things are very low on the ingredient list. They have 6 ingredients in a Lara bar. I wonder if they are on the individual bar. They're on. Oh yeah, there they are. Let's see. They taste like a candy bar. They're very delicious. They have cashews, dates, semi-sweet chocolate chips, unsweetened chocolate, sugar, cocoa butter, vanilla, apple, sea salt, vanilla extract. I guess if you count chocolate as one, that's 6 ingredients. But they are really good. They don't have a whole lot of garbage in them. And they pack a punch with the protein. So if you skip breakfast or if it's a long time in between lunch, I find on the homestead, you get in a project and you don't want to break. I keep a couple on us when we're working. Big fan of Lara bars. And you can order them through Amazon. Link below. Don't forget, if you're ordering stuff on Amazon, if you use our link or you type in amsteady.com, it will forward you onto Amazon. We get a small commission for sending you there, but it doesn't cost you anything extra. And that's one of the ways we're able to produce these videos. Thank you for all those of you who use Homesteady or our links. We're all hooked up. Let's see if this guy's gonna work. What do you think, bud? This is gonna work? You're not sure? Not sure? Mm-hmm. All right, let's give it a shot. Well, I got to turn the valve on down there, and then it will travel through that to that guy, and the automatic float valve should turn it on and off. And the key is to see if there's any big leaks, because we don't want to waste water.
Release the Kraken.
Here we go. It's flowing. Coming out here. Maybe there's a kink in the line. There's no pressure, so it'll be pretty slow. This looks like a kink right here. Hey, there's a little water. There we go. We got water. Okay, that's a good sign. See that? No pressure. It's very low and slow. But I think it will work for what we want. If we put it uphill, it should be better. Okay, that's a good sign.
Okay.
I think it's going to work. We're slowly filling, and right now it's kind of going uphill. Up in the field, I'll put the IBC tote at the top of the pitch, and it'll all be downhill. We'll have the weight of the water pushing through. I think it's going to work, so we're going to test it out on the cows today and see if the cows use it, because the cows have actually been up in the field all winter long. We have been, well, not all winter, but since like halfway through January, we were getting such a mild winter, we decided, you know what? Let's get them up in that field. So we're gonna drive this whole thing up on the field, and then we'll show you what we're doing with the cows up in the pasture. So let's get this ready for a road trip. I think it's gonna work. All right, bud, let's get a hay bale on top of the water. I almost forgot, before we go in the field, I have to do one thing to this. This thing doesn't have a wide enough base where, imagine if it's down on the ground and cows come over and start closing it. they could tip that over pretty easy. There are holes in it for you to pin it, but I'm gonna be moving this every 2 days, and I hate to like drive stakes down and then pull stakes up. I think that's a lot of extra work for what we're gonna be using it for. So what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna cut a bigger square of plywood, and I'm gonna cut a little handle into the plywood so I can just pick up the plywood, walk it to its new spot, and put it down. So let's do that real quick. Got it all set. It's mounted to a piece of plywood. I can carry it like a suitcase, nice and easy. And it's got a big wide platform so that the livestock won't flip over the water and drain our IBC tote. I have got to say, since putting in the workshop here at the homestead, I did not have a workshop back at our old homestead in Connecticut. I had a dark shed where I kept a couple tools and everything was lost. Having a workshop where your tools are always in the same spot, you have good lighting, good workbench like we built, this has increased productivity on the homestead so much. You don't need a super big space, you don't need anything fancy, just a pegboard where your tools go every time, a couple good bright lights. If you don't have them already in the space, get a couple nice bright halogens. And this workbench, you can see how to build this workbench. We have a video on our channel, search Homesteady workbench, or I'll add a link below if I remember. You can see how to build this table. This table is awesome. Couple nice tools, your productivity, things like this where you're in the middle of a project and you realize quickly like, oh man, I gotta make a thing real quick so this works better. That would set me back a day at the old homestead because I just wouldn't have the tools, I couldn't find anything, I'd have to go to the store to get screws. Now I just get it done and we're back to getting stuff outside. So let's take our stuff, we're gonna go up to the field where the cows are right now and where the future animals are going. Let's go. Oh, first I gotta put my tools back where they belong. We're about to find out if the new watering system is going to work for the cows, but first it's time for the Homesteady Camel Train shout out! Today's shout out goes to Marge. Marge is from eastern Iowa, smack dab in the middle of the Midwest near the Mississippi River. This is really cool. Marge knows kind of what we're going through right now. She has milk sensitivities which showed up later in life. She was in her 40s when she figured this out. She says in her letter, she understands how impactful those changes can be on your life and diet. So Marge totally understands what we're going through right now with the diet change with Kay and the baby. This is kind of sad. Marge can drink raw milk, it doesn't bother her, but in Iowa it's illegal to sell raw milk. Finding a producer who she could buy from, she'd have to travel quite a distance. This is one of the reasons I think it's so bad to make a law at the state level that says you can or can't sell raw milk. That's crazy. Sorry, Marge. I wish you were close by. You could stop and get some camel milk. Marge is a suburban homesteader, and she's getting ready to get. There's puppies at my feet, Marge, and they're just too cute to not show. There's puppies. If you're wondering what all the whines and yips and bumping of the camera is, it's the puppies. Hi, guys. Marge is an urban homesteader, and she's getting ready to get her first chicken, so that is so exciting. She's gardening, raising beyond organic food, and she's helping a friend, and at the same time she's learning, working on a small beef cattle farm. In our Start Homesteading Today course, we talk about how to start homesteading when you don't have a homestead, and volunteering on a farm was one of the best ways to get started homesteading, learning and getting experience before you actually buy that property. So good on you, Marge, for actually just going and doing it. Marge someday wants to have a small farm with all the homestead things. Chickens, bees, cows, goats, herbs, and she wants to grow medicinals. I think that's real cool. Marge has been watching our channel since right around when we left Connecticut, and she really appreciates the fact that we share so much of our story. Thanks so much, Marge, for watching and for being a part of this. She became a Homesteady pioneer, and once we started the camel thing, it piqued her interest, and now she's joined the camel train. This is really cool. Marge just started her own YouTube channel, and I want you to go check it out and say hi and thank her for today's video, because she's the one who sponsored today's video. So I want you to go check out MIDGE'S Madness, Adventures in Gardening and Life. I'll have a link right there. You can click to go see her very first YouTube video. Say hello from a Homesteady fan and thank her for today's video because she sponsored it. Marge, thank you so much. Watch for your special Camel Train t-shirt. Maybe wear it in one of your upcoming YouTube videos. And thanks for being a part of this. You have lifetime access to the Pioneer program, so hopefully there's some interviews in there that you can dive into and enjoy as you're preparing for your homestead with all the things. If you'd like to join the Camel Train, click right there to do so. Now let's see if my cows will drink out of my water. Oh, it is so nice out. Oh. I can't even believe how beautiful of a day this is. As you can see behind me, our cows have been out on pasture since like January 15th. This was an incredibly mild winter. It's the way last winter was. It seems to be the way winter is going here in Pennsylvania. For a while we had the cows down on our dry lots where we had installed those nice dry lots, the big heavy-duty gravel pads, but we did notice there was a bit of a problem. When the cows were on the dry lots all day long, they would be pooping on those dry lots, and unless I scooped up all that poop, the chickens would scratch it and break it up, but then the fines, the little fine, tiny pieces of poop were getting down in the gravel and creating a sludge layer, which if left unchecked, that would go and solidify, and in a couple of years, instead of having nice gravel dry lots, we would just have a mud pit again. The dry lots work excellent for letting water go through them and still having a good firm base. It's nice for working. With dairy cows, they got to come through there anyway every day to get milked. It was a great project. It was still had a lot of value, and it's still great to have the gravel around the barnyard. But if you're gonna leave your cows on the dry lot all day, you gotta manage the manure. There's no way around it. So I decided, you know what? Down at the barn, the manure is a problem, but permaculture principle, the problem is the solution. Up here in the field, the cow's manure is a solution. It's adding nutrients back to our soil. Now, we did not leave an incredible winter grazing, what do they call that? Winter grazing. You're going to tell me in the comments below because I can't think of the word. But we didn't leave a lot of forage here, stockpiled grazing for the cows. There is a lot of green grass growing because it's been a mild winter. It's March and it's 60 out right now, so it's incredibly nice. You know, we're actually getting grass to grow. But it's not enough forage to keep our cows healthy. It's not something I would trust to just give them just only that. So we've been coming up here every day. We've been spreading hay out over the existing stockpile, the cows can pick and choose. They can eat whatever green grass they find and want, but they also get their hay. So that way we're not seeing a loss of body condition on our cows. And whatever hay we spread, whatever the cows don't eat, they're reseeding these pastures with good quality hay seed. So it's really working for multiple problems that we had down at the barn. It's fixing a lot of the problems down there. And up here, it's helping our pastures get the nutrients they need. It's getting better quality pasture for the future. And we have been moving them every 2 days. We have a strip laid out, we put the cows in, they feed in the first half, and then we feed them in the second half, and then we move them each day. So you'll notice in the drone flight, you can see in the footage from above, the cows have spread their manure evenly over the field. No area has been overgrazed because I haven't left the cows here for longer than 2 days. And come springtime, that will be a nice manure nutrients there for the grass to start growing up from behind, and we'll be able to reset this, and every day we'll be moving these cows pretty much probably every 2 days. And this watering system we should only have to move hopefully once every couple weeks, but we're gonna find out. So let's set up the water system now and test it out on the cows.
Got it.
All right, the valve is now open. Let's see if it is flowing down and out to where the cows are. Yes, water! Look at that. So the way this little guy works is there's a valve here. As the water fills up, it will cause the float valve to come up and shut the water off. Animals come and take a drink, and then up comes the valve. There's not very much pressure. It's very, very slow flow. I could improve that by moving the tank up higher on the ground. I could also maybe not use this flexible hose. But because this water is going to be right here, easy for them to access, they don't ever have to get really, really thirsty, we don't have a ton of animals, I don't think it's going to be too big of a problem that we don't have a lot of flow. So time will tell. We're going to practice and test it out with the cows. They still have an alley to get back to the barn, and from there they can go down and drink from our automatic waterer, so this will just be a supplement to them. But the animals that we're going to be bringing on are not going to have an alley back to the barn. They're not dairy animals. They don't have to go back to the barn, and so I want them to just have this as their permanent water source. See if they want some water. Here, girls. Come here, girls. Girls. I always find it interesting when we first let the cows out. They always, in a new paddock, will first and foremost, they will rush the green grass. They very rarely will start on the hay. You might see the younger calves going for some hay, but Ladybug and Luna, they always start by grazing the fresh green grass. But don't get me wrong, they're finding the best stuff, they're going through and picking it, then they'll switch over to the hay. There'll still be green grass, what looks like green grass growing, you know, visible, but they're selecting according to what their needs are. They're eating the green stuff they like, and then they go to the hay. So I really like having both here. I like having the hay and the green grass. Let them pick. They could come up here. I put enough hay out for them each day. They don't have to eat any of the vegetation in this field. If it's not good for them, if they're not getting what they need from it, they don't have to eat it. They can eat all the hay they want. But if they find stuff in here that's good, that they like, they can pick that first, and then they can go over to the hay. And nothing is wasted. The hay that they don't eat, reseeding my soil, feeding earthworms. The poops that they put out here doesn't have to be cleaned up, can, you know, be eaten up by earthworms. It's feeding the soil. It's really, really a nice system, and it doesn't take too long every day to do this. This move is very, very easy. Now, they haven't tried the water out yet. I'm waiting to see what happens. They're not used to that water. This is new. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Now, me and my son are gonna pull up yesterday's line and leapfrog over so that tomorrow we have another opening ready to go. I'm not sure. I left the camera running. I didn't see. We were setting up the other perimeter fence. So I didn't see if they drank out of it. You did. So you be the jury. But I'm going to leave the GoPro on it and keep an eye on it. And maybe by tomorrow we'll see if they actually drink from it. I hope they do. The water level's in between 125 and 150 on my chart. So if I come back tomorrow and there's a lot less water, then we'll know they're drinking out of it.